So take a look here. Favorite voter ID to vote. Look, I got all this polling on the screen going back since 2018. You'll notice on all of it, it's all north of 75%, 76%, 76%, 76%, 81%, and then 83% in the last year of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj. They favor photo ID to be able to vote.
What about by party? What's the party breakdown?
Yeah, normally you might expect, hey, there'd be a big divide by party with Republicans really for it and Democrats really against it. But not really here. I mean, just take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. You got 95% of Republicans, pretty much all of them, but even 71% of Democrats favor photo ID to vote.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for choosing to hang out with your host, the Conservative Bird, and me, Double D. And you're on the Brick Road Podcast.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We really appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out. Also, before we get into everything, please make sure to hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe, and smash the notification. It's the quick, easy, and free way to help this channel grow as big as possible. So, Double D, we got some really good news as of yesterday. The voter ID bill has passed through the House of Representatives. Now it's on its way to the Senate, and I'm pretty sure the Senate's going to vote to get it done because we do have a majority in the Senate, and then Trump's going to get it done. And then it's one step closer to not allowing them to cheat anymore.
Yeah, that's why I think the Democrats are probably going to have a problem with it, though, Bird.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Remember, in the Senate, it takes 60 votes.
Yeah.
To pass legislation.
Right. So, and they're going to get it. They'll get it. I have no doubt in my mind that they'll get it.
Right now, 51-49, right?
I believe something like that.
Well, that means they need at least 9 Democrat votes then to make it pass. Hopefully they can do that. It's about time. First of all, I mean, there's no other place in the world where you can vote without an ID.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's just crazy. Like,
you have an ID anyway.
You need an ID to buy alcohol. You need an ID to buy cigarettes. And these are just luxury items. These are items that you don't need. Voting on the president is something way more important than all of that. So you should have to show that you are a legal citizen of this country.
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean
I
this
can't
is
see
like
any reason why not. I mean, first of all, I'm not even understanding. I'm not even sure why we had to have why we had to vote on it in the first place. That should have been a give me.
How is this not a bipartisan thing? You know, I'm helping my aunt move yesterday, and I'm talking to my aunt and my cousin, and you know they're pretty democratic. You know what I mean? They tend to lean more on the Democratic side, and even they're like, yeah. Voter ID should just be a thing. Like, you have to have an ID for everything in this country. Like, you have to have an ID for everything in any country for the most part. So, this should be, like, one of the highest standards to having an ID. You
would think, and at the very least, you would think that most Americans would want that. I think the voter ID, I mean, I wonder what the American population, as far as I know, it's like 81 to 83% of Americans want voter ID, right? Yeah, it's got to be something like that. But if you guys haven't seen it yet, we'll just give you a little dive into it. The voter ID has finally passed through the House, on its way to the Senate, and then hopefully on its way to President Trump's desk, so then we can finally get this in order and get some order in our country and just some proper balance. Like, dude, this doesn't make sense why every Democrat would vote, almost every Democrat except one would vote against this. How is that a thing? Because that's how they get their votes, dude. The Democrats depend on illegal voters. That's true. Although, ironically, most illegals don't really vote that much. Yeah. They do in areas where they know it's, where they can go and do it. Right. In red states, they tend not. Well, in red states, they tend not to vote. I think they're more worried about, getting ICE or DHS picking them up or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Correct. So let's get into the video. They'll tell us a little bit more about it.
Developing this morning on Capitol Hill, lawmakers a step closer to securing federal elections. Last night, the House did officially pass the Save America Act, which would require proof of citizenship to register and a photo ID to vote.
Ensuring the integrity of elections is an essential
issue. It's essential to maintaining our constitutional republic, and everybody in this country seems to understand and agree to that. This is about a 90-10 issue in the polling, because all that we've done tonight in this simple piece of legislation is apply common sense.
And now lawmakers calling on Senate leadership to...
I mean, it's literally common sense. It's like you should need an ID just to show that you're in. You half the time when the cops pull you over, they ask you for your ID.
They pretty much. I mean, every time I vote, I get asked for it.
I just don't get it, bro. I don't understand.
I mean, honestly, I get asked for my ID for everything. You can't buy alcohol. You can't buy cigarettes. You can't. I mean,
you know what's crazy though, Double D?
You really can't buy anything that requires an ID.
Dude, you
if
can't.
All that other stuff requires an ID. Why doesn't voting?
Right. Here's my thing. Right. This should be bipartisan, and it's not the Democratic voters that are saying that they don't want voter IDs for the most part. Some of them are saying it because some of them feed into the liberal propaganda, right? So there are some voters that say, yeah, we don't think you should need IDs. But for the most part, even Democrat voters agree, yeah, you should have to have an ID to vote. This is just a common sense factor.
I think so. I mean, I see it as common sense, but
I mean, listen.
What do I know, right?
I'm just a
regular American, part of that 90% that thinks that we should have voter ID.
I'm going to show you right here, Double D, that even most Democratic voters agree with us.
So take a look here. Favor voter ID to vote. Look, I got all this polling on the screen going back since 2018. You'll notice on all of it, it's all north of 75%, 76%, 76%, 76%. 81%, and then 83% in the last year of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj. They favor photo ID to be able to vote.
What about by party? What's the party breakdown?
Yeah, normally you might expect, hey, there'd be a big divide by party with Republicans really for it and Democrats really against it.
No,
but not really.
it's
here.
not true.
Just take a look here. Favor photo ID to vote. You got 95.
And see, that's exactly what I said, Double D. It's not. You'll have your small group of Democrats that are for no voter ID, no having to show who you are, but a majority of them still have that common sense factor. And I'm like, yeah, you should have to prove that you're from this country and that you're here legally. And that's why you're allowed to vote. That's why you get the privilege to vote. That's why your vote's supposed to matter. See, they're trying to make our votes not matter by having all these illegals come over here and just swamp and just bombarding our country.
Or they're hoping that they all vote Democrats, too. At least that's what the Democrats are hoping.
Yeah.
I mean, why else would they be trying so hard and fighting against mass deportations, against voter ID? If they didn't have some kind of benefit from it, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
No, yeah, that's true.
That's really the truth. And that's the truth.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. Common sense just doesn't seem to be so common anymore.
Well, yeah, especially amongst the left.
Right.
I mean, there are common sense Democrats. I mean, you got Fetterman, you got Manchin.
Yeah.
We even have one right here in Cleveland that's a councilman, Mike Plastic. Very common sense guy, totally in favor of voter ID,
right.
Totally in favor of deportations. I don't understand why the rest of the Democratic Party has such a problem with it.
Well, because they have a game.
The only reason I can think of is because they're losing their voters.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
But honestly, if you really look at it, other than Democrat blue city hotspots in blue states, where do illegals even vote without an ID? Because in the red states, it's already required. Because
they started losing a lot of people for real when they started being in favor of allowing men into women's sports, allowing men into women's restrooms. Like, I legit have friends, I'm not even lying, friends that were hardcore Democrats. And I'm not talking about like the super duper hardcore, but they literally always voted Democrat, Joe Biden, everything. And they're like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. Like, I have daughters, and I don't want men playing in sports against my daughters. And I don't want men in my daughter's restrooms. And, just things like this. And it's like this far left, liberal, progressive ideology pushes the people that are like kind of center left, pushes them to the right. And they don't realize it, but they also don't care because they just try to bring the illegals in here to just cheat their way to the victory anyway.
That's pretty much what they've been doing. and they've been very successful at doing it.
And if all you people want to say that there is no election fraud, just keep watching. Just keep watching because it's being exposed.
I was listening to the radio this morning, dude. They were talking about Fulton County. They've already found ballots that were counted twice.
Yeah.
Some cases 4 and 5 times.
Yep, I heard about that on the radio this morning.
You were saying like 18% of them were dead already. And
Crazy.
It's like, I mean,
I'd like to see.
Like, well, why is everybody coming down on us? Well, because because the fraud is there. It's wrong.
Right.
It's not rocket science.
I'd like to see if my brother voted last election.
Huh?
I'd like to see if my brother voted last election.
You know, if he was alive, he never would have voted Democrat either.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe.
Oh, who knows? But I'm just saying, he didn't really have a choice, does it?
Yeah. No, you didn't have a choice at that point. It's kind of crazy. Like I said, Double D, this just seems like a complete bipartisan issue. And the Democrats, not saying the voters, but the Democrats in the politics, like the upper Democrats, they're doing this for a reason. They know what they're doing. They're trying to pull one over, get slick ones over as much as they can, and we're not just going to allow it anymore. We got to start putting our foot down from now on.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? The American people have spoken, dude. I mean, it's 71% of Democrats, 95% of Republicans. Again, just pass the legislation and give the people what they want.
Right.
But I guarantee you, Chuck Schumer, what's that goofy fucker's name? Larry Nadler.
Yeah.
Who's the other one? Jamie Raskins. All of them are going to be voting against it.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I guarantee it.
Well,
no, dude, I'll bet my house on it that Chuck Schumer votes against it.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. He's a fucking scumbag. What about you guys down in the chat? Are you?
Yeah, what do they think?
Are you in favor of voter ID or against voter ID? Either way, let us know why. Then you know what I mean. Let us know why you feel the way you feel, whether you're for it or against it.
I mean, I think we understand why they're not in favor. You know what I want to know? Which one of our listeners or viewers would actually be in favor of no voter ID, and give me a good reason.
No,
why.
that's what I said. That's why I said. I said if you're in favor, I said whether you're in favor for it or not in favor of it. Let us know why.
But I'm just saying, I would be more in particular curious to know why they would be not in favor of voter ID, because
people say, "Oh, you got to spend money." People act like everybody's just these broke fucking bums and. You got to spend money in an ID. Like, so what? Okay, there's also programs that'll help you get an ID without having to spend any money.
Absolutely.
So it's just more crybaby bullshit. Just something else for the Democrats to complain about because Trump wants to do it, and we all know if Trump wants to do it, he could cure cancer, and they wouldn't want to do it. They say no, cancer deserves to live.
You want to hear something ironic? Every single immigration legislation since 1953, every single one has been passed. Well, everyone except for the one in 96 with Bill Clinton, because Bill Clinton was actually up against a Republican Senate.
Right.
But he was fortunate because Republicans were very much in favor of, closing the borders and deportation. So he had them won over anyway, so it didn't matter. But every other single one, every one that they voted on, 53, 64, 65, 68, 86.
Yeah.
All of these situations where they had some kind of immigration legislation that came about was all under a Democrat and Democrat House and Democrat Senate.
Okay.
In some cases with a Democrat president, in some cases with a Republican president.
Right.
Obviously in 53, that was Eisenhower, he was a Republican. 86, it was Reagan, he was a Republican also. But all the other ones, the other three mentioned were all Democrat presidents. 2 of those 3 with Democrat House and Senates.
Right. Yeah, so
they used to be in favor of deportation. They used to be in favor of closing the borders, and they were certainly in favor of voter ID.
So I think this is just something that's a bipartisan issue that needs to be addressed and taken care of as soon as possible, especially before these midterms, so they definitely can't Nobody can cheat. Listen, if you think Trump cheated, okay, then you should be in favor of this. 1,000%.
I would think so.
Right. If you think Trump cheated, then you should be in favor of this. 1,000% without a doubt.
And I would think so, but obviously, I guess we'll find out what the Senate says when it makes it to them. We need 60 votes in the Senate. I hope that they get them.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous because only one Democrat voted for it in the House of Representatives.
Right.
And you know how Democrats are when it comes to their solidarity with each other. They don't care if they're wrong.
Yeah.
They just care if they're united.
Yeah, they're complicit in their wrongness. That is definitely for sure.
Yeah. The only time it counts to them is if, if it's not popular with their party, then they don't want to do it.
That's true.
It's as simple as that.
That is very true. So I think on that note, we're going to end it. Most importantly, I want to thank God for this opportunity to be here and just, give you guys my word of everything. I want to thank Double D, thank my friends, and thank my family, and thank the audience.
And as always, Bird, thanks for making the show happen every time, as you do. Audience, without you, we're nobody. I'm really curious to find out how many of you are in favor of no voter ID. That's really what I'm.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want to know both reasons and both sides, but I'm really, really curious. So those of you who are against having voter ID, I would really love to hear a logical explanation of why. But anyway, that's besides the point. Bird, thanks for making the show happen today, as always. Audience, thank you for being there. We appreciate it. And most importantly, let me thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because without Jesus, I'm nobody anyway. And with all that, thank you very much, and good night, y'all.
All right, everybody, have a good one.